Okay. Well, hello. It's great to have you.
Thank you.
Brianna, right? So,
Yeah.
Brianna, tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah. So my name is Brianna. I'm a social worker by profession, but I recently have opened my own private practice. I do counseling. At my full time job, I work with racialized youth at schools. I provide counseling, group therapy. And yeah, that's a little bit about me. Yeah.
That's excellent. That sounds very intriguing. What got you into that profession?
Yeah, so at first I did my bachelor's of social work at U Ottawa, and I really loved it. I don't really know why I chose social work. I just think that it had a lot of possibilities after post secondary education, and then I did my master's at Carleton, and my master's I had a really big love of social policy and
Mm.
um, private practice counseling. I actually had the opportunity to do my internship at the House of Commons
Oh,
for
lovely.
my social work master's practicum. So that really I loved integrating public policy and in social work. But now I'm more community based, and I really love giving back to the community and helping people who look like me. So social work allows me to do that with counseling, with resource building, and different things. So I think it was just like the perfect profession for me personally.
That's really neat. Thanks for sharing
Yeah.
that. So, you mentioned group counseling. What
Mhm.
does that look like for youth?
Yeah, so my organization does it really uniquely. So we're actually trained in something called trauma informed systems therapy. So what we do, it's about like 10 to 12 students. So I run maybe 3 to 4 groups at various high schools.
Okay.
Um, and I have like a high school group, then I have intermediate, like grade 7 and group,
Okay.
7, 8 group that I run. And um, it looks different. We talk about a lot of various topics. We have snacks. That's a big pull-in for these kids
I
to
love
come in.
snacks.
Snacks to come, and it's really chill. Like we just give them the space to talk. And because we only try to serve marginalized youth, it really gives them that space to talk and talk to people that look like them and have experienced some of the same things. So it's really chill. We try to make it welcoming, inviting. We have snacks, so it's a bit of a buy-in, but they're always leaving fulfilled, in my opinion. And we come weekly, so it's been really fun.
That's
Yeah.
cool. And how long does a typical session take?
So it's usually during their lunch. So I'd say like 30 to 40 minutes. But that's why we have
Okay.
snacks.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So we do like a icebreaker, and then we do the main activity, then we do a cool down, which is something like a mental health like activity or like a breathing technique, just to
Hmm.
like let them be more settled before releasing them back to classes. But
Hmm.
yeah, that's
Hmm.
usually like the
How it
structure.
goes.
Yeah.
Okay. And you typically lead this.
Yeah, I lead this with a youth worker as well, so it's
Okay.
not just me, thank
Right.
God. But
Might be a lot,
yeah,
like counting down 12 rowdy
yeah, I work
kids.
with two amazing youth workers,
Okay.
and yeah, so I lead in the sense that I'm a clinician, but then
Right.
youth workers help navigate the group as well.
And are
Yeah.
they like peer to peer kind of, or?
Yeah, we all kind of like lead the session. So maybe I'll do like the activity and they'll do like the icebreaker,
Okay.
but then we're all like helping out, and like
Collaborating.
collaborating with the youth. Yeah.
That's really neat. That sounds super fun. I know I'm not in that age range, but that sounds like something I'd be interested in. Do you ever do it for adults or interested in doing it for
I'm
adults?
interested. Right
Okay.
now, our organization is mostly youth based, so I haven't
Right.
had the opportunity, but I
Right.
think doing with adults would be cool. Maybe snacks wouldn't be the buy-in. I don't know,
I don't know about
but
that.
but I would love to do it
you
with
you had
adults.
me at snacks. I think I lost my mic when you said snacks wouldn't be there. I don't know about that. Okay, let me try like that. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Cool. Okay. Thanks for sharing all of that. And then when it comes to the one-on-ones, how is
Mm.
that different from the group
Yeah, so
sessions?
one-on-ones, usually it's more vulnerable. Like, for example, so let's say I do like a group session, and I always invite the youth, like, if you ever want to talk to me one-on-one, like, I'm here. So some youth like buy into that. And so with one-on-ones, I have to respect confidentiality.
Yes.
So I always explain that, like, hey, like, just letting you know, like, no one else is gonna know about this. unless, you know, these three things, like you're at risk, you're risking, you're harming others, people are harming you. Like these are why I would have to break confidentiality, but it gives them that space to just talk to me privately.
Right.
I also have snacks there too. Not to say that's the buy-in, but
right.
I
Just
try
a
to
welcoming
foster like a
space.
welcoming space.
I love that.
Yeah, and because I'm at the schools, I think it gives them the opportunity to see me at the place of their need, and they don't have to come after school, they don't have to come before school, they can come during lunch.
Okay.
Sometimes I can pull them from class, so it's just more like there's something going on at school, I can be like their first point of contact.
Wow.
And I think that's like really powerful at school. We know how school can be, so
oh, definitely. Yeah. It sounds like every school needs this.
Yeah.
Like it sounds very. And do you find what are the differences you see in people after they've gone through a one-on-one session or a group session?
I think they feel heard. I think they feel respected, most importantly. I see a lot of differences. It depends on what they are coming to me for. Sometimes if it's a crisis and it's like, okay, I'm gonna help you the best I can, maybe they just want me to come with them to talk to the principals. Sometimes they just want me to be there for them. But from my understanding of how they usually react, is they're usually grateful, and as they start talking to me more, I can help them out with different things, right? Because I'm a social worker, it's also resource based, so it's not just doing counseling, but I can also connect them to resources. So students can come to me for counseling, but it's like I've had students come to me to help them activate their Presto card, and that's what social workers
like navigate.
It's navigating, which is like so powerful as a social worker. Like I have the opportunity to counsel them in that space, but I can also connect them in that space as well to different things to help them. So I think they're always leaving a happier than they come,
and probably more resourced.
Yeah,
I think of like the vision of like teach a man to fish, and he can keep fishing. So it's like you do help them, but then you also help them to be more resourceful in the future.
Exactly.
That's really neat. And that connects with a lot of what we do here. So here at TC Wellness, we're really big into self-care and also compression therapy.
Okay.
So it sounds like what you do is somewhat connected to self-care. So talk to me a little bit about self-care. How do you define self-care?
So self-care is anything that doesn't make you lose your mind at the end of the day, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think everybody should engage in self-care. So how I engage in self-care, I'm very active. I was a high-level athlete in university in track and field.
Okay.
So I gym. I still kind of do it as well. So that's my space. And then I love hanging out with friends and just like turning my brain off, maybe watching Netflix.
Okay.
That's how I engage in self-care. Yeah. But I think it's just anything that makes you a little bit less on edge and more relaxed to navigate your day.
Okay, that's really cool. I heard you say movement in there because you talked about the gym, track and field, and all. I heard you talk about community, you know, hanging out with people, and downtime. Those are three things that like you really enjoy. Very cool. Do you know anything about compression socks?
No, actually, I know something about not socks, but like I used to play basketball, so like compression.
You used to wear the sleeves on your arm. Okay, and why did you wear it on your arm? What difference did it make for you?
I think it had something to do with blood flow. I can be like very wrong, but
good job. No, you're right. You're right.
But it helped me. It would make me feel more attuned with my body. Like I would, because basketball, like you shoot, right? So having that like tightness, like I felt more connected with like, or more aware of the space.
Yeah, proprioception. Yeah, you were able to kind of like more connection between your brain and your muscles.
That's how it
and
felt.
Yeah. Very cool. I'm glad you've actually had the experience. Yeah. So compression sleeves, socks, apparel in general helps to boost circulation, and it helps people when they have jobs where they're sitting all day or standing all day, like physically demanding jobs, and also jobs that involve like prolonged sitting or prolonged standing, but also it's great for sports. So we do find that a lot of people use it at the gym and things like that. So tell me a little bit more about movement and mental health. Since you have the experience of basketball, track and field, do you ever incorporate movement in some of your mental health sessions?
Well, in terms of like my pre-session, like as a clinician, yes, I try to incorporate movement just because it's one of my things to ground myself before a session and maybe after. But in terms of the client, I really do suggest movement, because especially physical movement, because for example, me being a track and field athlete, I used to do shot put, so sometimes my coach would show me a specific movement, and I'd have to like be comfortable with that feeling of that movement. So I was more attuned with the physical process, which made me more
Right.
attuned with my body. So in
Right.
terms of clients, I think that if they were to engage in movement more, they'd be more comfortable to know what feels right to them,
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
that can translate emotionally because you're more attuned with who you are, your body, how you feel. That can translate to being in tune with what feels right to you, what doesn't feel right. So I try to always encourage, especially my students, to be active, to engage in movement, because it helps brain flow. It helps, usually helps to calm you down too, but it also just helps you know what feels right to you in a general sense and what doesn't, and to practice those skills. Yeah.
That's really cool. And I know that a lot of like working professionals,
Mm-hmm.
a big issue is that they say, "Oh, I don't have time. I'm too
Yeah.
busy to like, take care of myself or move or go to the gym or
Mm-hmm.
whatever." Do you find that it's similar among the youth, or that's less of an excuse?
I think honestly, different youth are interested in different things.
Hmm.
And I know there's gym class and different things like that, but I would always encourage every youth to move. I'm finding the trends are people like playing video games, people like sitting down.
Yes.
They don't really, movement isn't as popular, solely based on interest, I think. Um, but I definitely hope that movement is incorporated more. And then, like, I've seen some teachers, sometimes I've been able to be in the classrooms to just observe my students too. And I see some teachers use movement as a way to get their energy out before class and
Right.
different things like that. So movement can be incorporated in any ways. It doesn't have to be going to the gym, it doesn't have to
Right.
be walking. It could just be, let me just like get everything out, and then okay, I'm ready to learn, or I'm ready to be in the session. Yeah.
That's really cool. I love that idea of just like incorporating it
Yeah.
into. I know like there was something I used to do for a while where it's just like, depending on how my day is going,
Mm-hmm.
5 minute dance party. I'm just like, I'm just going to put
Yeah.
on like my favorite song or two favorite songs,
Yeah.
depending on if it's like a 3 minute song or like a longer song.
Mhm.
And just like, just have a dance party with like my headphones
Yeah.
and,
That's amazing.
yeah, and it's 5 minutes. It
Mhm.
doesn't take a long time, but
Yeah.
it makes that bit of a difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really resonate with that. That reminds me of a theory of like the Superman pose where you're
Oh yeah.
posing. Yeah, and like you pose for 5 minutes and then you start actually feeling better because you feel like Superman. So
Right.
movement literally contributes to how we feel, and I think it's a great tool or resource.
That's really cool. Thanks for sharing that. Another thing we're big on here
Mhm.
is intergenerational wellness. So,
Mhm.
apart from our core business, which is basically compression therapy and self care, we do a lot of community outreach
Mhm.
initiatives. So, right now, we're in the process of launching a intergenerational wellness program where we're pairing people together, ideally in intergenerational pairs. So, like
Okay.
mom and daughter, father,
Yeah.
son,
Mhm.
like auntie,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But we don't, if people prefer to go peer to peer, we're okay with that too. But we're encouraging intergenerational.
Okay.
Do you see the value of intergenerational bonding? How do
Mhm.
you think it helps with youth, especially?
Oh yeah, I think that we can learn a lot. I'm still like relatively young, and I know that I can learn a lot from older people. Usually, age comes with wisdom and experience.
Usually, I like
Yeah,
that.
usually,
Usually.
right? So there's so much to learn, right? Especially youth, because we haven't done life before, and not to say that adults have, but they've done it longer,
Yes.
and usually
Yes.
there's wisdom with that. So I definitely think having those intergenerational connections are really, really valuable for anything, really. Yeah.
I can imagine. And what do you say to people who say, "Oh, but like I have nothing in common with someone of a different generation. Like, why would I hang out with someone of a different?"
I think maybe at face value, it's easy to see that you have nothing in common. But if you take the chance to get to know whoever it is, whether adult to youth or youth to adult, you realize that you've had some of the same experiences, right? Some experiences are universal. And if we assume that, hey, like, you, because you look like this or you're older like this, like you don't know how I'm feeling. That's usually not the case, right? So I definitely think that regardless of anything, we should give it a try. It doesn't hurt to try to connect with people that we aren't accustomed to connecting with, because we can learn a lot, and I think there's a lot of value in that. Yeah.
That's incredible. Thanks for sharing that. So, my last question for you is if there's anything you want people to know about mental health, about self care, about anything that you think is really important and a lot of people just don't know, what would that be?
I would say mental health is really important to follow and to not be afraid to share your story. I find with youth, they're afraid to share what's really going on sometimes, or because their emotions are so new and they might even be ashamed to feel. But I would say to never stop talking and to never stop sharing, because once you stop talking and sharing, you lose your voice, right? The first thing that we do when we cry to say, so the first thing we do when we're alive is crying, right? We use our voice.
That's
right?
true.
Literally.
Absolutely.
So that's to see if we're alive or not.
Absolutely.
In a metaphorical sense, we have to keep talking, we have to keep using our voice to be alive and to, you know, be enlightened in this life. And I just hope that no one stops using their voice. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much, Brianna. This was lovely. And see you tomorrow for the next day of 21 days of self-care. Bye.